Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I am Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I hope you all are doing well today. In case you're unfamiliar with me and my background, I'll just tell you really quickly that I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science, very extensive in sports nutrition and nutritional biochemistry. And also have a master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. I have been working with people for over 20 years as a practitioner. So I'm very experienced in this field, both as a practitioner and as somebody who actually studies the science, right? And I've done many videos over the years talking about the politics in with nutrition and food companies, okay? Today I want to talk about the food guide pyramid and the work that RFK Jr. has done with the food guide pyramid. We're going to analyze it. But I want to tell you about a book. I'm always recommending books, okay? This book right here, Food Politics by Marion Nestle, all right? I had to read this book 20 years ago in my first graduate program, okay, at Columbia University Teachers College. My first graduate program was in applied physiology and nutrition. And this was a required reading. This woman who wrote this book was a professor at NYU. She worked for the USDA, the FDA, all the government organizations. And this book was talking about how corrupt the food industry is, food lobbyists, how the people that work for the FDA, the USDA, the this and that, they just switch the people, how they're all funded by food companies, and how food companies fund politicians more than any other industry, okay? Big food gives more money to politicians than any other industry. Probably after them is Big Pharma. And Big Pharma and Big Food are the same people. They're really the same people. People have no idea how corrupt the FDA is. I should do a video just about the FDA, but I have spoken about them in other videos. So, and the USDA were the ones that came up with the food guidelines, which made no sense because the USDA is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They have nothing to do with nutrition, right? So they had their own interests, hence all the grains at the bottom of the food guide pyramid. The food guide pyramid had 6 to 11 servings of grains at the bottom, the old food guide pyramid that was created in 1992. Of course, they would tell us that because that's what the Department of Agriculture, they produce a lot of grains to give to the commercially raised cattle to fatten them up when cattle should be eating grass, which is why I try my best to get all my meat from local farms, okay? Because I want beef and milk from cows that are outside walking around in the sun, getting exercise, getting fresh air, getting sunlight, and eating grass. Those are the milk and the meat from those cows is completely different than the milk and the meat from cows in the commercial food industry, right? So anyhow, this book, Food Politics, is excellent. And it's Food Politics, how the food industry influences nutrition and health, okay? How the food industry influences nutrition and health, okay? It's a serious problem. People have no idea. So I'm actually impressed and cheering on the work that RFK Jr. is doing. Nobody goes against Big Pharma and big food. Nobody does, okay? Even if you look on TV or in magazines, a lot of the stuff that you get told about health is propaganda because who advertises in the magazines and the news? It's all food companies and drug companies, food companies and drug companies, and they're the same people, all right? Now, when it comes to studying nutrition and what you have the RDA, which is the recommended dietary allowance, right? There are RDAs for how much calcium you need every day, how much protein, how much fats, how much vitamin A, how much vitamin D. Okay, these are called RDAs, recommended dietary allowance. So when you look at the back of food and it tells you, oh, it has this percentage of calcium and this percentage of iron, it's based on the RDA, which is what the government tells you need to have, right? But the thing that people don't know, and this is why higher education is important, a lot of people say that degrees don't matter and schools don't teach you anything and nobody learned anything in college. That's not the case with me. I learned lots of stuff in undergrad. I learned lots of stuff in my first grad program, and I learned lots of stuff in my second grad program. Okay. And then I also did my own research outside of that. Like outside of school, school gave me the foundation and the backbone to have the foundation to go analyze studies and research things on my own and use my critical thinking skills. Okay. So, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the RDAs, which is the recommended dietary allowance, they came up with those numbers. Yes, higher education is important for critical thinking. It is. So they came up with the numbers based on how much of each nutrient you need every day. They came up with that by using people who were in the hospital, who were like on their deathbed. Okay, these people were like on the brink of death. Okay, 1 foot in the grave, and they saw how much of each nutrient do people need to stay alive, not to be healthy and thriving, but just to stay alive, the bare minimum. So what we get told about how much of each nutrient we need every day is way lower than what we actually need. Okay. And a good source for that information is this book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Okay. By Weston A. Price. Okay. Dr. Price traveled worldwide to discover the secrets of healthy people. This came from an American dentist that I think it might have been in the 20s or 30s. He went around the world to every continent, okay, studied isolated people in different parts of Africa, different parts of Europe, Asia, South America. He went to different places and he studied their tradition. He looked at what happened to them just one generation after they started eating the white man's foods, okay? And he called it the white man's foods, and he was a white man himself. What was he talking about? He was talking about grains, like flour and sugar and stuff like that. When they started getting roads and they started getting food shipped in, and they started to eat processed foods, bagels for breakfast, and they started to move away from their traditional foods, right? And he looked at, he took their traditional foods, he took them to labs and analyzed the nutritional content and saw that they were way higher in vitamin A, way higher in vitamin D, way higher in calcium, way more protein, way more of all of that than what we were being told we needed, right? And he saw that just one generation after them eating the white man's foods, they started to have all kinds of health problems. And they started to have crowded and crooked teeth, which indigenous people who ate their traditional foods did not have crowded and crooked teeth. The changing of the pelvis and the hips and problems in childbirth and all kinds of issues. And he documented this, okay? This is very well documented in this book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Also, on his travels, he thought he would find healthy, vegan populations who ate no animal products, and he did not find that anywhere. What he did find was there were certain tribes in Africa who really didn't eat much meat or much dairy, but they ate a lot of insects. Okay, so the plant-based groups in Africa who ate a lot of plants, they weren't vegans, they were the smallest and the weakest, but they still ate a lot of insects. Okay, so this is a very good resource, this book. Now, let's get into this food guide pyramid. Oh, and there's one more book, but I can't find it, and it's crazy because I don't know if I left it in New York, but I have been reading it a lot lately. I've had it for a few years. It's called The Big Fat Surprise: Why Meat, Eggs, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet by Nina. I can't pronounce her last name. Her last name is like Nina Schultz or something. I posted it on my Instagram page. You can find the book on my Instagram page, but it's called The Big Fat Surprise. If you put it in Amazon, you'll find it. If you put it in YouTube, you'll find her speaking. She's brilliant. Her book is very important, very, very important. And you will see how much politics is in food and how we've been lied to, and how it's been known for a long time that people with low cholesterol have more cancer, especially women. Okay. Women who are eating less cholesterol and less saturated fat, higher rates of cancer. Dementia. Like, we need lots of cholesterol and saturated fat. You cannot eat too much cholesterol. Okay. So it's almost like what we've been told is healthy. The opposite is true. So you have to read her book as well. Have to. Those 3 books, critical. Okay. People need to read more too, because a lot of the truth is not on the internet and these little short articles people want to read. All right. So I'm always going to back up my shit. Now, I'm going to go to my notes about the food guide pyramid, right? And it's exhausting, which is why I decided not to become a dietitian in the hospital, because I really didn't want to lie to people. I really don't want to lie to people. I want to really help people. And what happens is when you become a dietitian, just like when you become a doctor, when you become a dietitian, you cannot go against the American Dietetic Association and the standards that they put out and the things that they say. If you do go against them, you lose your license. When you become a medical doctor, you cannot go against the American Medical Association. Okay, you have the ADA and the AMA. When you become a medical doctor, you cannot go against the American Medical Association, or you lose your license. So some doctors, first of all, they're indoctrinated and brainwashed in medical school. That's why I try my best to stay away from them. To me, doctors, they can give a diagnosis, but after that, I'm not interested. Not unless it's emergency medicine, okay? Like, God forbid you get into a car accident, you fall out of a window, you lose a finger, emergency shit. But like, just in terms of health, no, they don't learn that at all. And they're totally clueless. And I'm totally unimpressed by most doctors. Doctors are trained to diagnose, okay? And so they do that based on, they're told, okay, in order to diagnose this illness, you have to have these positive lab tests have to show this, or these scans have to show this. So they are there for diagnosis. And then when doctors prescribe treatment, they prescribe treatment based on what the American Medical Association says is acceptable treatment, okay? And they have to follow that. So even if they know better, a lot of them don't because they're indoctrinated in school, but some of them do go ahead and do their own research. And the problem is that practitioners a lot of times do not read scientific research. And the scientists do not work with people. That's where my whole term, the body scientist, came from, because I'm a practitioner. I've always been a practitioner, but I've also always had my head in the books and was involved in the actual science and reading and analyzing the science. And there's a disconnect between the two, okay? So when you do, most doctors are too busy to do that anyway, but the ones who do take it upon themselves to dig deeper and do their own research, and they realize that a lot of things that they were taught were not true. If they say something, they will lose their license, and they already owe like freaking millions of dollars from all their education. So what? So now they're stuck lying to you. Or the ones who a lot of times tell the truth have retired and left the profession, and now they can tell you the truth. And if you look at my stories on Instagram, you see me repost videos of medical doctors all the time who are saying the things that I'm saying. And a lot of them no longer practice because of it, okay? So people have no idea about the serious politics that exist in science, medicine, health, okay? It's very corrupt. And so I've made videos in the past talking about RFK Jr. I know a lot of people hate Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I am a fan of the work that RFK Jr. is doing. And a lot of people are clouding, they're not using critical thinking skills. They're not going and doing research on their own. A lot of people don't have a scientific background to do this research. I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing this stuff for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So just because people hate Trump, they just hate RFK. Oh, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's not, though. Okay. So now let's go with these. Let's talk about the food gap pyramid. So I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So in the 1990s, the traditional food gap pyramid had grains at the bottom, and they recommended 6 to 11 servings. At the bottom, it was all grains, bread, and crap. Okay. 6 to 11 servings. Then there were fruits and vegetables. 3 to 5 servings of vegetables and 2 to 4 servings of fruit, okay? Then protein and dairy on the old food gap pyramid that created in the 90s. Protein and dairy were put together in one category, okay? And first of all, I hate when people call food protein. That is the stupidest thing. No food is just protein, okay? And no food is just one nutrient, period. If anything, if you want to call a food one macronutrient, because macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Those are macronutrients. So if you want to deduce a food to one macronutrient, when no food is really just one macronutrient. But if you wanted to do that, what would be the most appropriate is to call fruits and vegetables carbohydrates, okay? Nobody seems to understand that fruits and vegetables are mostly carbohydrates. There's very negligible fat and protein in plants. And definitely in fruits and vegetables, okay? There's basically no protein and fat. It's like just nothing but carbohydrates, including the fiber is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates that we don't digest, okay? So in the old food gap pyramid, they put protein and dairy. Protein was meat and beans. Okay, that's what they put in the old food guide pyramid under protein: meat and beans, and it was 2 to 3 servings of that protein and dairy, and 2 to 3 servings. Oh no, sorry, 2 to 3 servings of protein, 2 to 3 servings of dairy. Now, another thing that doesn't make sense is that dairy is also high in protein. Okay, protein and fat. Okay, every food that's high in protein is high in fat. Meat, if you look at steak, you look at a pork chop, you see fat surrounding that meat. You look at bacon, there's fat and protein. You look at eggs, eggs are high in protein, high in fat. Dairy, high in protein, high in fat. Fat and protein go together. What do you put on your skin? You put fat. Your skin is mostly protein. Fat makes protein supple. Fat helps you to digest protein. Like fat and protein go together. That's why you do not want to consume low-fat milk and non-fat yogurt and low-fat. No. Okay. Fat and protein need each other. All right. Okay. And so in the old food guide pyramid, fats, oils, and sweets were in one category, and they were on the tippity top, and it was said to use them sparingly. That's also a problem because there needs to be a difference between fats and oils, first of all. Oils are usually considered to be the seed oils, which are highly toxic. If you want cancer, diabetes, inflammation, bad skin, okay, metabolic disease, you want to die early death, consume seed oils. What are seed oils? Seed oils are soybean oil, corn oil, so-called vegetable oil, which are not coming from vegetables at all. Canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil. None of those are vegetables, okay? So they're not vegetable oils. We call them seed oils, okay? All those are highly inflammatory and disease-causing. Now, fats, when you're getting fats from a natural source, okay, especially animal fats and some plant fats, but especially animal fats are more important than anything. Because everything that's in the plant fats you can find in the animal fats, but not vice versa. Okay, so the healthiest fats to cook with, and I did a video on this years ago. Hold on, somebody said, but don't every food. Okay, but don't every food has protein, even if it's 1 gram of protein. But I can't read that. Sorry. Let me go back to what I'm saying. Fats, like if you're getting tallow is fat that comes from beef, from cows. You got lard that comes from pigs. You have lard, bacon fat, tallow, butter, ghee. Those are all healthy fats. Those are all fats that they're high in vitamin A, they're high in vitamin D. Saturated fats are the most stable. Okay, and so fats are a mixture of saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fats. But animal fats are higher in the saturated, monounsaturated fats. And you know what's so crazy? I did a video, and this is another thing when people talk about the censorship under Trump. There was a lot of censorship under Biden, and especially during COVID, okay? People couldn't say anything because I actually did a really good video that was titled, Why You Need to Understand the Biochemistry of Fats, okay? The video didn't even get probably 1,000 views. And you know what? YouTube took it down for medical misinformation, when everything I was saying was scientifically sound. I have an extensive background in nutritional biochemistry, and I especially specialize in the chemistry of fats. And I know it well, okay? Even in my last master's degree in medical cannabis science and therapeutics, cannabinoids are fat soluble. So once again, you start dealing with a lot of biochemistry of fats, okay? And I've done videos talking about that, but that video got taken down, and it is really important. So I don't want to get into that science right now because that's not what this video is about, and I'll go off on a tangent. But it is really important to understand the chemistry of fats and why saturated fat is the best fat to cook with. Period. It's the most stable. Okay, the more unsaturated a fat is, the more unstable it is when it is applied when heat, air, and light are applied to it. Okay. Heat, air, and light. So if you go cook with canola oil or soybean oil or vegetable oil and you buy it in the store, it's in a clear bottle. The light is penetrating that bottle. It's destructing it. You then decide to go home and cook with it. Now you pour it out. Oxygen hits it. Turn on the fire. Heat hits it. Every time the light, the oxygen, the heat, it further destructs the oil and makes it even more toxic. Then you have people that keep cooking with that oil, like a lot of restaurants. You can save bacon fat. You can save tallow and lard and recook with it. Okay, you do not want to do it with those oils. Then when you buy those seed oils in the store, they use heat to press them. Unlike when you see cold pressed coconut oil, that means no heat was used. And coconut oil is also a saturated fat, so it has more tolerance for heat anyway, right? Or you see olive oil. A lot of times it's cold pressed extra virgin. It's in a dark bottle. Olive oil is mostly a monounsaturated fat. Monounsaturated fats are more stable than polyunsaturated fats, but they are not as stable as saturated fats. But still, the olive oil is in a dark green bottle, so light can't penetrate. It's cold pressed, okay? So it's better than using a polyunsaturated fat, which is already highly unstable. They use the heat to press it. They put it in a clear bottle so light is penetrating it in the store, and then you come home and cook with it, okay? So that stuff is no bueno, period, point blank, okay? So there needs to be you can't put fats and oils in the same category and then sweets, okay? No. You should be eating a lot of fats, a lot of healthy fats. Now, outside of the animal fats that I mentioned, animal fats are healthy, especially if it's coming from healthy animals. But also the fat in coconut oil is very good for you, palm oil, and those are also saturated fats. The animal saturated fats, the plant saturated fats are palm oil, coconut oil, shea butter, cocoa butter, okay? Those are plant-based saturated fats. They're also the best for your skin, okay? Especially in the heat. Okay, so under the old food guide pyramid, what counted as one serving of protein was 2 to 3 ounces of cooked meat. Hold on a minute, sorry. 2 to 3 ounces of cooked meat, half a cup of cooked beans, 1 egg, or approximately 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, okay? That was what they counted as one serving of protein. And they were telling you that you needed 2 to 3 servings a day. So based on the old guidelines, if you ate 3 eggs a day, you got enough protein. And I can tell you right now, that's not nearly enough protein. And I myself eat like 3 to 8 eggs a day, okay? But, and that's not all the protein that I eat. But 3 eggs is not enough protein for the day, period, point blank, okay? So then what counted as one serving of dairy on the old food pyramid was 1 cup of milk or yogurt, 1.5 ounces of natural cheese, 20 ounces of processed cheese. 2 ounces of processed cheese. And then adults were generally told to have 2 servings of dairy a day, and kids and pregnant women 3 servings of dairy a day, because kids and pregnant women are growing. Kids need a lot of nutrition, which is why these kids now are the weakest, sickest group of kids that have been on the planet since they've been on the planet. It's funny how I have a twin brother, right? And we were born 7 weeks early, okay? I was born 7 weeks premature, and I was 4 pounds when I was born. My brother was 4 pounds and 4 ounces when he was born, okay? My mother breastfed us only for 6 months, okay? And my mother is 5'4", and my dad is 6 feet. I'm 5'8", 5'9", or something, and my twin brother is 6'2". So we are bigger than our parents, bigger than them, even though we were born 7 weeks early. So back in the day, I feel like a lot of people were bigger than their parents. Now I see a lot of people's kids, they're smaller than their parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at LeBron's son. Like, everybody's kids are smaller than them. And a lot of this is coming from this healthy eating propaganda that kids should not be given raw milk. Give kids skim milk. Give them soy milk. Don't give them red meat. Don't give them whole eggs. And now they're little and frail and sickly. Okay? You need real food. You need to give kids cod liver oil. Eat some liver. If you're a certain age, people made you eat liver when you were a kid. I don't think these kids now even know what liver is. Okay? Those are the foods that grow strong, healthy bodies. Okay? Not salad, not fruit juice, okay? Not eating apples, okay? And not eating low-fat dairy and egg whites. It's not it. Not cereal, no, all right? And, the other thing about this book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, is that it talks about how physical degeneration happens over generations, right? So our health and how we develop has to do with not only what our parents ate, but what our grandparents ate. So you can have somebody who... maybe they grew up on a farm, they grew up eating organ meats and good quality foods, and so did their parents, but then they grow up and they become a vegan and they have their kids and they raise their kids that way, and their kids may appear to be fine. That's because they have nutritional stores from their parents and their grandparents who weren't on a vegan diet. Then you have people who might be sickly because they were malnourished as a kid. Maybe their parents didn't eat the best. So now they have a bunch of health problems. They didn't develop properly. But then they decide to eat really nutrient dense foods, and then they have kids, and their kids end up being stronger and better than them. So it can go different directions, right? But it happens over generations. Okay. So now, going on in 2011. Oh, also the other thing I want to say about the 2 ounces of processed cheese being considered 1 serving of dairy. Processed cheese is freaking poison. Okay. What is processed cheese? American cheese. I would never eat American cheese. I avoid like the plague. American cheese is not real cheese. It's processed. Okay. So that shouldn't even be a recommendation for people to eat. Okay. At all. It's not good for you. All right. Moving on. In 2011, it turned from the pyramid to my plate, right? So they got rid of the pyramid in 2011 and they made a plate icon. And the plate was a graphic that roughly had, on the plate, it was roughly half of the plate was fruits and veggies, a quarter grains, a quarter protein and dairy. Oh, a quarter protein and dairy was on the side. RFK, he brought the pyramid back, but he flipped it upside down. Okay. So what he did, so when he flipped it upside down, I'm going to talk about, okay, when he flipped it upside down, he de-emphasized grains, right? So before in the old food guide pyramid, it was 6 to 11 servings of grain a day. Now it was 2 to 4 servings of grains a day. Now, I don't think you need any servings of grains a day. It's not an essential food. It's not an essential nutrient. It's not giving you anything that you need. And a lot of times grains can be very irritating unless they're prepared properly. It depends on what grains they are, but they have to be prepared properly, okay? But it's not something that you need to be like, I have to get my 2 or 4 servings of grains every day. You don't, okay? But at least he de-emphasized it tremendously, all right? Then on the old pyramid, that it featured protein foods. It said protein foods, and it showed protein foods as meat, beans, eggs, and nuts. Meat, beans, eggs, and nuts. And let me just tell you right now, the protein from beans and nuts is bullshit, okay? It's not quality protein at all. Try to grow a body on some beans and nuts. Try to grow babies from baby to adulthood on beans and nuts and see what they come out like, okay? They're not going to be like the tall, strong warrior people you find in Russia, in like certain parts of the world who are really strong for real. Beans and nuts does not do that, okay? So it's not quality protein. There's not a lot of essential amino acids and branched chain amino acids and amino acids you need, like leucine, to like really build your muscles and body. But, so the old food pyramid had protein foods listed as meat, beans, eggs, and nuts. Meat and eggs, excellent sources, right? And then red meat and saturated fats were not emphasized on the old pyramid at all. And the new pyramid, red meat, poultry, eggs, seafood, and plant proteins is now central. And is recommended at almost every meal. Hold on a minute. Now, plant proteins, again, like I said, that didn't need to be on there. I think he put that there just to appease the vegans, right? Because people aren't ready yet to hear how toxic plants are and how non-essential they are. Like, people are so, indoctrinated. And even though he is being brave by changing things, the food lobbyists are so powerful that they still limit things, right? But it's good that in a new pyramid, red meat, poultry, eggs, and seafood are emphasized because those are all things that people should have. Dairy too. I feel like they didn't put dairy, but dairy is an excellent source of protein. The most bioavailable, now if you don't know what bioavailability means how easy the human body can actually utilize and process this nutrient, right? And so the protein with the highest bioavailability for humans is the protein in eggs, okay? The protein in eggs can be 100% of it is digested and assimilated, 100%. It's the easiest protein for humans. After that, you have the protein in milk. Whey protein. Whey protein is the best protein for muscle building and recovery. Okay? After that, you have red meat. Okay, so those are like top sources, and seafood top sources as well, right? Okay, now hold on. Seafood's also going to give you a lot of iodine, which is critically important for your thyroid. Um, the animal foods, see the plant foods, the animal proteins have, I'm sorry, somebody called me and messed me up. Okay. The animal proteins come with fats. And with fats, you get fat soluble vitamins. And I always tell people to know and understand and remember that fat soluble vitamins, they are the last four letters of my name. Vitamins K, E, D, and A. Keta, right? How fitting when I love talking about fat. Okay, love it. But those are the fat soluble vitamins. The fat soluble vitamins are considered the activators. This is another thing that Weston A. Price talks about in this book. The fat soluble nutrients are considered the activators. They're what you need for growth, okay, and health. That's vitamins A, D, E, and K. You should never forget it because it's the last four letters of my name. K, E, D, and A. A, D, E, and K, whatever, right? They are what you need to grow and develop properly. And so you're going to get that in the animal fats. You're going to get that in the lard, the butter, the tallow, the steak, the pork chop, the bacon, okay, the bacon fat, the eggs. They all have that. The plant fats do not have that at all, okay? And you need vitamin A for your thyroid, and your hormones and stuff. And you need vitamin D for your hormones to make testosterone, You need cholesterol to make hormones, especially your sex hormones. So to men who don't want their testosterone levels to drop, you need to eat a lot of cholesterol. Testosterone is made from cholesterol. Vitamin D is made from cholesterol. Your brain, if you want to keep your brain healthy and you don't want ALS and Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis and stuff, you need lots of saturated fat to protect your brain. I did a video about that a couple years ago. I'm not going to get into that, but really important, okay? If you want your brain to be healthy, you need long chain fats, which are only in animals. Long chain saturated fats, long chain omega-3 fats. Those fats are only in animals, okay? And then the endocannabinoids, which I'm not going to get into in this conversation. I did a video a couple years ago titled, Did You Know That Our Endocannabinoids Are Made from Animal Fat? Okay, so endocannabinoids are basically neurotransmitters that our body makes on demand, and it's made from arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid is only in animals. It's in beef, it's in eggs, it's only in animal fats. And the endocannabinoid system balances every other system in the body. It regulates every other system in the body. Like everybody knows we have a circulatory system, a digestive system, a reproductive system, immune system, central nervous system, lymphatic system, right? All these different systems. But the endocannabinoid system regulates all of those systems. And so that's why cannabis is so useful for so many health problems. But we ourselves produce our own cannabinoids, endocannabinoid. And it's created from arachidonic acid, okay? Which is only found in animals. So RFK's guidelines recommend about 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, okay? And that's higher than the old recommendations that was recommending 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Me as a sports nutritionist, in sports nutrition, we've always used like that 1.2 to 1.6 kilograms per body weight because grams per kilogram of body weight, because the difference between a regular nutritionist and a sports nutritionist is that a sports nutritionist is focused on nutrition for a body that actually does something. Okay, a body, like if you're just sitting still and you're just sitting in the same place all the time every day, your nutrient requirements are not the same as if you get up, okay, and you go are playing basketball for 2 hours, going to swim practice, going to the gym, lifting weights. When you're moving around, your nutrient requirements go up. All right, so 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, I feel like has always been probably too low. We never used that number anyway, but that was the old recommendation. And like I said, The old food guide pyramid recommendations were giving people the bare minimum they needed just to be alive. Not to be healthy and thriving, just to be alive. Okay? And as people age, okay, when people are growing, a lot of the things that's required for little kids and growing and developing children is the same that requirement for aging adults. Okay? Aging adults need a lot of nutrition because they are getting older and they can't assimilate a lot of the stuff as well. So the nutrition requirements go up. You have hormonal changes and stuff as you get older, so the body doesn't respond the same. So you might need more protein and more vitamin D and more. Now, children need a lot because they're growing and developing. They're not little children. They're not little adults. They're kids. Their babies, kids are not little adults. They have way greater nutrient requirement per pound of body weight than grown people do, which is why, to me, feeding kids like vegan diets is straight child abuse. Okay. So now, the new pyramid promotes healthy fats. Okay. And I already told you what those were. Not what people think it is. Not the soybean oil, the corn oil, the canola oil, the sunflower, safflower. That's all poison. Those are not healthy fats. The healthy fats are the grass-fed butter, the tallow, the lard, the bacon fat. It could be coconut oil, right? But you can't thrive on just plant fats because there's things in plant fats like there's no cholesterol, there's no vitamin A and D. There's things that's missing. No arachidonic acid, okay? But still, coconut oil is still great, all right? So anyhow, the new pyramid promotes healthy fats, including full-fat dairy, butter, beef tallow, nuts, seeds, and avocados, rather than focusing on low-fat foods, which is what the old pyramid did. Now, again, I'm going to say, the nuts and seeds don't need to be there. To me, I don't consider nuts a health food, okay? Nuts are very hard to digest. If you notice, if you have a jar of peanuts or walnuts or almonds, whatever nut, pick it, whatever nut you want to pick, you can keep that in a jar for like 3 years and it hasn't changed. It hasn't decomposed. It's just sitting there. Just fine. That's what it does in your digestive system. It's incredibly difficult to break down nuts. And if you're going to eat nuts, you want to ferment them first. Soak them first. So soaking them deactivates the enzymes that prevent them from developing and decomposing and stuff, right? So, but nuts to me are not a great source of protein or anything. I would not recommend nuts. They're irritating more than anything. And then, what I said, nuts, seeds, absolutely not, okay? I do not recommend eating seeds. And then avocados, yeah, avocados are good, but the problem is avocados don't give you any essential fats, and I eat avocado a lot. The problem is that let's say with America, right? This huge country. I don't care what small town, city, or state you go to in the whole of America. We have avocados 365 days of the year in those stores, just like bananas and other tropical fruit. So do you know how taxing that is on the environment? First, from the land of mass producing all these damn avocados and bananas so that every single supermarket in America can have them 365 days of the year. If any American went in the supermarket and they don't have bananas or they don't have avocados, people will be pissed. Okay? So we're so used to that, but that means that you're in countries monocropping, stressing the land out, and then you're shipping this stuff to all 50 states. And all these states are big. Some of these states are bigger than countries. And every single supermarket in all 50 states got this stuff. So that's not really good for the environment. It's not really healthy. We should try to be eating local foods. But avocados are good. And I do eat them a lot myself. I really love the Caribbean, like Dominican, Florida avocados a lot. More than the Mexican ones. I like them both. But the Mexican ones are the ones you mostly see in America. Now, in my neighborhood in New York, because it's heavily Dominican, I find the Dominican avocados, which are the same that you find in Florida, and they're much bigger, okay? But in most of America, all you're finding is Mexican avocados. That means it's a whole bunch of monocropping, which is really bad for the soil, bad for the earth, and then shipping food, from halfway across the world and from one country to another puts so much pollution in the air. So it's not sustainable. It's not like the healthiest thing. But avocados are good, right? Hey Sumi, it's been so long. I hope you're doing well, love. We must catch up. Okay, so The new pyramid still prioritizes fruit and vegetables, but alongside protein and fats rather than above grains, right? So on the new pyramid, there's still a focus on fruits and vegetables, but they put it next to protein foods. In the old pyramid, it was like first you're supposed to have most of your serving some grains and then fruits and vegetables, right? Which is so much carbohydrates. That's a prescription to make you fat. That's a prescription to give you cancer. That's a prescription to give you diabetes. Okay. And look at people in the 70s and how skinny everybody was. Nobody's like that anymore. Okay. Everybody was so freaking skinny in the 70s. And they weren't eating all those damn carbohydrates. People were eating chitlins and liver and shit, right? And gizzards and stuff like that, right? But again, fruits and vegetables is all carbohydrates. Grains, all carbohydrates. So before they were telling you just eat a lot of carbohydrates and eat very little fat and very little protein. And the thing about carbohydrates is that if you eat carbohydrates with a protein and fat, it prevents your blood sugar levels from spiking so quickly. Blood sugar levels spiking is what causes insulin resistance, which causes diabetes, which causes cancer, which causes dementia, inflammation, and all these other problems, right? So when you eat carbohydrate-rich foods, you do want to eat them with a protein or fat, which is like when I eat fruit, I don't eat fruit unless it's like summertime and I'm walking around in the heat. Like I could be walking around in New York and I'm burning up, the sun is on me, I'm sweating, and I see somebody selling some watermelon or some fruit, I will eat it. Okay? But like this time of the year, when it's cold, only time I eat fruit is in my shake that I make with raw milk. I make it with raw milk. I put 5 egg yolks, some kefir or yogurt, and that's how I make my shakes. And so that fruit the protein and fat in the milk and in the eggs prevents my blood sugar levels from just spiking crazy. Okay? I'll do a video about that, about blood sugar levels spikes, because people have been talking about that a lot. And there's, as a sports nutritionist and an exercise physiologist, I understand that very well. So the fact that on this new pyramid, they put the fruits and vegetables with proteins, which to me, I still don't think you need as many fruits and vegetables as they try to say that you do. But if you do eat them, it is good advice to put them with protein-rich foods. Okay? So that's what's on this new food guide pyramid. Then the old pyramid and RFK, okay, both of them, when it comes to, they both highly recommend limiting added sugars. Okay, both pyramids did that. And added sugars and highly processed foods. And the old pyramid, in terms of alcohol, said that women should not have more than 1 glass of alcohol a day and men should not have more than 2 glasses of alcohol a day. The new pyramid does not emphasize any particular number of how much alcohol you should have every day or can't have. It just says really try to decrease it as much as possible. And that's all it says. It doesn't give like any real guidelines. I think a drink a day for a woman and 2 drinks a day for a man is still too much. Like I'm saying, if you had it every day, I don't think that, I'm not anti-alcohol. Some people are just like, well, I'm anti-alcohol. You should never drink alcohol. I'm not going to say that because every single group of people in the world has alcohol, spirits, or fermented beverages, beers and wines. Every single group of people. So to me, when you see the whole world has that, it's like since the beginning of time, to me, it has its place. Okay. However, it is toxic to your brain. Unlike cannabis, okay, alcohol kills your brain cells. Cannabis helps to regenerate them. So people I know who drink, like one of my best friends drinks a lot of alcohol, and he's been drinking less alcohol because of consuming cannabis. He consumes cannabis edibles. It makes him drink a lot less alcohol. But also it can help counteract the damage that he's done from drinking so much alcohol, right? But I do not think that people should drink alcohol every day, okay? Yeah, drinking daily is way too often, yep. Yeah, we're talking about optimal health, exactly. I would never say, oh yeah, drink a day is fine, even of wine. No. Okay. I think that if you drink occasionally, okay, but when I say occasionally, it doesn't even have to be every week. But at the bare minimum, no, what is it? Bare maximum, I would say once a week or so. There might be some times when people drink a couple times that week and then you don't drink for 3 weeks, right? But you don't need to drink every single day. All right. Okay. So those are my notes on the new food guide pyramid. I gave you guys 3 books that I recommended, that I highly recommend, okay, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, but this book is the truth, okay? Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston A. Price. You can get a synopsis of this book on YouTube if you put in Nourishing Diets by Sally Fallon. If you put in Nourishing Diets Sally Fallon, you will find a video version where she goes through a lot of what's in this book. This is a big, thick book, okay? Very thorough. Another book is Food Politics by Marion Nestle, okay? How the food industry influences nutrition and health, okay? It's another very good book if you really want to understand how deep it is with the bullshit that we're told. And then the last book I don't have with me, I don't know where it's at, but it's called The Big Fat Surprise: Why Meat, Eggs, and Cheese Belong on a Healthy Diet by Nina. Last name starts with a T. You have to read that book. Somebody said, which is better, white wine or red wine? To me, they're the same. They're the same. Both of them are sugar and alcohol. Not good. Anyhow, I'm going to do a talk soon about, do I know any wines by Black or Indigenous folks? Is that what you're asking about, wine? No, I haven't tried to search it. Probably if you ask ChatGPT, you could, but I do like honey wine. I'm not a wine person, but the only kind of wine I really like is honey wine. And of course, Ethiopians make honey wine. Oh, wait. Oh, books. They feel wary of Sally and Weston A. Price. So let me tell you something. And I don't mean to sound harsh, okay? But some Black people need to get out of that idiotic shit, okay? Because when people think that because it's a white person, they can't give good advice to everybody, or they haven't done good research, or they haven't done good research on people of color, right? But you think that because somebody's Black, they know what they're talking about. That's what has led so many Black people to follow idiots and frauds like Sebi. I'm not going to call him Dr. Sebi because he wasn't a doctor of anything, okay? But Sebi, that man was a complete fraud. I don't respect him. I did a video. I should do another video about it. Didn't respect that man at all. He was frauding people. And I have worked with people who have destroyed their health. I know people who have died under his care, okay? But because he was Black and he maybe threw on a half a dashiki and people think he knows what he's talking about. Same thing is true with that Layla Africa fraud, okay? And that other dude that, what the hell, what is that dude's name? Yaki, okay? I don't know why he's always talking everywhere because he does not know what the hell he's talking about neither. And it's like, where do you get qualification? Like, what qualifies you to speak on this? I'm not saying that every person with a nutrition degree knows what they're talking about because in the beginning of this video, I did explain how tainted the nutrition industry is. But people have to have discernment. You have to have good critical thinking skills and discernment, right? And so if I am a Black person myself, and I'm telling you, like, this is what I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing for over 20 years, right? Like, so not only did I do this in school, but ever since I left school, I've always, I have such a book collection. I'm always reading studies, always, so I'm very well versed on the truth and the corruption. And so that's why I tell people I'm recommending you read certain things because I know if you want the truth, this is where it is. Yeah, Lily Nichols is good. Exactly. I haven't seen one Black person write any book about nutrition that's worth reading. I haven't seen one Black person on the internet talking about food that knows what they're talking about. A lot of times when people hear things I'm saying, it might be the first time they heard it. But there's a lot of people who say what I'm saying. But they're usually white or Asian. And a lot of Black people in America, it's so funny. I was just talking with one of my African friends, right? A friend of mine, he's Senegalese, he's Fulani. Fulani people drink a lot of milk. And I have many African friends from East Africa, West Africa, South Africa. You've been spitting game for decades. I have been. I need to write a book. I know I need to write a book. But the problem with writing a book is people don't read. So I think to myself, if I write a book, who's going to read it? Like, it's time consuming to write books. You know what I'm saying? I have bills to pay now. And I write a book and people don't read. And people are getting dumber and dumber. And this younger generation, they can't read at all. Teachers are saying these kids can't read a freaking page. They can't. Kids are going to college now, never read a book in their life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, anyhow. But that's why, but a lot of, I could and should write a book, but there's a lot of good books that have already been written. And that's why I be trying to tell people, right? My husband is from Somalia and they all eat, and all they eat is meat and milk. Yeah. So, and then Tiana said, you're the only black person I listen to. I'm telling you, a lot of black people are embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And then with black Americans who be making up what they think is African, like in Brooklyn. I always say Brooklyn got the fake Afrocentrics. All the fake Afrocentrics been making up what they think is African, be in Brooklyn, right? Atlanta, Cali, all that, right? But I'm like, do you ever talk to Africans about what they eat? Because I asked my African friends, my friends that grew up in Cameroon, that grew up in Nigeria, that grew up in Kenya, they all grew up drinking milk. They all drink milk. So this whole idea, the Africans, I was talking to another Fulani friend of mine who's from Guinea, and he was telling me that the doctor was telling him, like he said he drinks milk. You always drink milk. And the doctor told him, oh, you can't digest milk. Aren't you lactose intolerant? He's like, no. Like he didn't even tell them that. They just, oh, you African, you can't digest milk. Oh, bullshit. Okay. Now, of course, I tell people you want to get raw milk. I've been talking about that forever. You want to do your very best to get raw milk, which is very easy to get in America. Sumi said, I hear you also write the book. Okay, I hear you, Sumi. I hear you. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna channel my inner Pankazani and my inner Sumi and see what I can do to get the book done. And then you gotta promote it. Maybe the black people will listen to me. I don't know. But you know. Can I show the books again? You can watch it in the replay. I've shown them a few times. Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. You can always replay it by Weston A. Price. And there's several other books I can recommend. These are just the books I'm recommending right now for this conversation. Food Politics by Marion Nestle. The third book I don't have with me because I can't find it, but it is on the Instagram page. It's called The Big Fat Surprise, Why Meat, Egg, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet. No, they want to believe what they do. Exactly. I'm like, do you ever ask your African friends? Like, not to tell anybody's business, but I know somebody personally, okay? You can maybe say his family. I don't want to, offend anybody, but I know somebody personally who was a follower of Sebi back in the 80s, gave money to Sebi and his cause, and she was on bed rest during her pregnancy, okay? I don't think she could breastfeed, okay? She was completely depleted. Her iron was so low, the doctor didn't know how she was alive. She had 2 kids. The daughter grew up, she was in a relationship with a Nigerian, a real Nigerian, like from the bush Nigerian, who ate all his traditional foods. And she started cooking kidneys and eating organs, and they're eating goat head soup, whatever, And Africans, they eat all types of parts of the animals and things that, like, people over here wouldn't eat. So this whole idea about, oh, Africans, they don't drink milk, and they eat everything. But they definitely drink milk. Rwanda, I see that Rwanda has milk bars. Me personally, milk does my body good. I consume milk on a regular basis. Butter, milk, yogurt, all of it. Okay? I can't live without it. Have you been to West Africa or East Africa? I've been to West Africa. Sebi taught how to eat like a peasant. Yes. Yes. And Sebi never looked healthy. Somebody who's healthy has radiant skin. Like, you have radiant skin. Your skin has a glow. Sebi's skin always looked freaking terrible. It looked dried out, ashy. It looked like it felt like sandpaper, okay? He looked tired. His voice wasn't strong. He was all sunken in, caved in. He never said anything about fermented foods. He never said anything about bone broth, which is critical. He never said anything about exercising, okay? He looked like he couldn't even do 1 squat, 1 push-up, or walk up 3 steps. He always looked like that. Could somebody ever show me a picture of him and that man looked strong? Weak as hell. So People have to have discernment, and you have to know how to observe the obvious. Observe the obvious if you do nothing else. I'm not saying somebody has to have the perfect body, which is what the fitness industry wants everybody, because someone has the perfect body, the perfectly chiseled this and that, does not mean that they're healthy either. That's the problem with the fitness industry. But if somebody looks weak, emaciated, your skin looks bad, you're not a billboard for health at all. Yeah. He looked like he was dying. He did look like he was dying. Every time I saw Sabian, he looked like he was dying. And you have black people that believe him because, oh, he's black and he's talking whatever bullshit he was talking. Complete bullshit. Okay? Let me see what you can do. You're so sweet, Sumi. I appreciate your compliments. I hope you're getting a lot of good sun down there in Merida. I'm here in Chicago, like, you know what? I need to escape. I think I need to go to Mexico for a few days and get some sun on my skin. Oh, Queen of Fua too. Oh my God. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Brooklyn had the fake Afrocentrics. I remember being in Queen of Fua's temple, and they're talking all this African stuff. But then, like, they were talking all this, like, West African, like, no, not West African, all these Egypt stuff, right? Which black Americans do not come from there, but okay. They're talking all of that, but then they have djembe drums. And I'm like, the djembe has nothing to do with Egypt. That's a West African drum. And this making up stuff, having people eat tofu. I know I've worked with so many people who have destroyed their health in their bodies working with Queen of Fua and following her advice. She's another one that's a total fraud. Yeah, Layla Africa, Queen of Fua, Sabi. Yeah, Queen of Fua is teaching people how to die too. And she does look frail. Sumi, you're the truth. And you're from Cali where they do it the most. I need to actually, I want to start a podcast soon. I don't know. I'm trying to get I'm not good with technology, but I want to start a podcast so I can come interview different people, different practitioners, and you're definitely one of them, love. Definitely one of them. But yeah, so if you just came to this video, you definitely want to watch the replay, go back and listen to everything. I will repost this onto my YouTube channel, The Body Scientist 81. So follow me on YouTube too, and you can see old videos. And if you're on YouTube, follow me on Instagram at _body_scientist, because on Instagram I post lots of good stuff in my stories, but also I post a lot of books. So if you look through my Instagram page and you see the books that I post, they're all good books. That's why I'm posting them. Yeah. It's just that I be doing everything by myself. I need help. And I'm a nerd. I'm a book nerd and all that. I know my shit. But the technology be hindering me. But I just need to get over that in 2026 and get it done. I can use Zoom to record my podcast? Really? I know there's all these different things that people use, and like my mind just can't, I know I should probably ask ChatGPT or something, which is good. But yeah, Zoom. Okay, I need to find the best platform to record my podcast. And then I'm thinking I can't do it on this phone because it has to be like the wide screen, I guess. I can put it on YouTube. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I need to start it soon. Oh, you can definitely interview me. Oh, you have a podcast, Sumi? I didn't know you had a podcast. Send it to me. You can definitely interview me for sure. That's for sure. Message me. It's been too long. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say. It doesn't have to be a visual podcast, actually. I actually prefer it not be. But that's the thing where I can't decide on, because I'm like, the visual podcast to me limits stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because then if you see, when I do my videos, I always do it in the daytime. I use natural light because I can't be a lighting expert too. So if you do stuff and you're not using natural light, you have to know how to use light. And this is too much for me. So that can hinder a lot of things. So, I would actually prefer a podcast that's not visual, but everybody's doing, I don't know. I don't know what the best thing is to do. I think it's easier to start with it not being visual. I came from radio. I used to do radio a lot, and I like that because you don't have to be getting in front of the camera and all that stuff. Oh, your podcast is for your students only. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, love. Well, I hope you all learned something today, something to think about. Do your own research. This is why I point you towards the books I'm pointing you to. You want to see me, Tiana? Okay. I'll try to, and I should bring you on my podcast too, because I see the work that you also do with women. Tiana, if you don't know Sumi, who's right above you, Sumi Such, you should definitely follow her. She's an amazing midwife. Amazing. She's a G. She's amazing. You should definitely follow her. And I know that, Tiana, you do a lot of work with educating women on their cycles and their fertility and cycles and stuff like that, which is also really important work. So I would love to have you on as well, and even collaborate on something, because it's time for me to bring my classes back. I used to teach a lot of classes, and I kind of moved away from that because I was burnt out, but it's time to bring them back. So I'm always willing to collaborate with people. But anyhow, I'm going to let you guys go. Hit me in my inbox if you want. Watch the video again. Check out other videos I posted. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. And wait, Christy, you have a question? Yeah, what's your question? If you can ask it really quickly. Let's see. I'll give you a few moments to see what your question is. I know there's pressure to write the question quickly. So, oh, also, while I'm waiting for you to write your question, I do work with people one-on-one, okay? Doing detailed, nutritional analysis and helping you get your body back into balance, okay? Because if you know about me, I'm anti-pharmaceutical. And a lot of things people take pharmaceuticals for, they could fix if they could fix through diet and exercise. But a lot of people don't have the right nutrition and exercise prescriptions, okay? So that's my specialty, and I'm always available to work with people. You can hit me in my inbox. You can email me, whatever. thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. And since Christy, I haven't gotten your question, just send it to my inbox, whatever the question is that you have, okay? But have a good day, people. Follow me everywhere, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Oh. Okay, Christy. Send me that. Okay, Christy, send me that question in my inbox. Now I'll do another video about it. She asked me to give my thoughts on a diet for low squamous epithelial cells on a pap smear. Okay. I'll do a video about that. Okay. But send that question to my inbox so I can remember to do that. And Sumi, you can do that too. I would tell you, Sumi, to ask your questions now, but my phone is about to die. But if you have a question, Sumi, that you can ask now, I'll try to answer it. If not, you can send it to my inbox and I'll do it in the next video. Let me see. If you're able to ask the question now, Sumi, and depending on what the question is, I'll try to answer it now or in my next video. I need to start doing more videos anyway. I'll be taking too long of a break. But, just send it to my inbox since I'm ending the video. My phone is dying. Send it to my inbox. Whatever questions, Sumi, you can ask me whatever you want. And that gives me ideas for more videos. Okay. So anyhow, people, have a good day. Bye.